is so hot, it make you just want to stick your head in a freezer and just hold it there. First thing's Donnie, last thing's Glover, in it to win it for the long haul, baby. At least you know the world ain't gonna end today. Lord have mercy. At least you know the world ain't gonna end today. Listen, we've got a show for you. You know, I'm talking about returning citizens. America has 5% of the world's population. 5%. Yet, we have 25% of the world's incarcerated persons. In the work that I've been doing for the past 30 years, returning citizens and the whole effort to end mass incarceration, shout out in heaven to Brother Bay, Brother Ellsworth Bay, who has been a fearless advocate here in the city of Baltimore. He helped me clean my block up, 1100 block of North Carlton Avenue, no coke, no dope, no rock, 20 years. Some people come and try to make a move, and they gone. Long story short, he ran this organization called Fraternal Order of Ex-Offenders, and I met him when I went to work down the Empowerment Zone around 99, and he helped me clean my block up. He died a horrific death, but I've since met other advocates, and one of them is on this show right here. Right here, right here. She's on this show right here, straight out of Brooklyn. BK in the house. And I don't mean Brooklyn and Baltimore, I mean the real Brooklyn. I ain't saying Brooklyn and Baltimore ain't real. I'm just saying you Brooklyn, New York, incomparable. So let me read this long bio she got me. Natasha White is a formerly, I just wanted to make her laugh, a formerly incarcerated survivor of solitary confinement. She is the Director of Community Engagement at Interfaith Action for Human Rights and both the Maryland and Virginia State Representative for the National Unlock the Box campaign. Without further ado, I welcome to this show my friend, Natasha White. BK in the house.
You are so crazy. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you.
You think I would make it in Brooklyn?
I know you would.
Brooklyn in the house.
You know, like I said, thank you. There's a lot going on, a lot to bring awareness to, in these hot summer months. So let's go. I'm with you.
So where are you from?
I'm from my mom is from Queens and my dad is from Brooklyn. So I'm from Brooklyn. No, I'm from New York City.
So look, for those of us who don't know, this is my understanding. Brooklyn is kind of like a big Baltimore, but right. Queens is kind of like a little, it's upwardly mobile. So Brooklyn, Queens is like maybe Northwest Baltimore, upwardly mobile, a lot of homeowners. Right. People moved out there for greener pastures, lawns, picket fences, including black people. It was a bastion of home ownership for the black community.
Brooklyn and Queens are separated by one street. That's it.
Oh, that's it.
Across the street, it's Brooklyn. However, I spent the majority of my years in Queens. I went to school in Queens. My mom lived in Queens all of my life until she moved, out of state. So, yeah, I rep Brooklyn, but I'm a Queens girl through and through until you make me angry. And then that Brooklyn come out.
Well, see, that's what I met. I met the Brooklyn girl because she was straight gangster.
Yeah, you did. I'm trying
talking about a Brooklyn basement.
I'm trying to evil the playing field, though. It's called transferable skills.
Okay, so where's your Pac-Man machine? I don't see the Pac-Man machine.
Not home. So,
where are you? New York?
No, I'm actually in Annapolis. I was in New York for the past week. I went out there on the 4th of July. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law passed away. And that is one of the reasons I'm kind of happy you called me last night about the show today, because we basically had to do all of her funeral arrangements and everything on our own. They would not allow my ex-husband to come to his mother's funeral.
Wow.
So, the Bureau of Prisons, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, they're on my hit list. I'm coming for them. I'm coming for them. I just have to be tactful. And we got a lot going on here already. So the great thing is we have a federal bill that addresses solitary confinement in the federal prisons, which is my focus. So I don't want to go in and out of topics. This topic is definitely one that I want to talk about today, but I also have another topic I want to talk about. So let me know when we're ready.
Let's go.
Okay. First, I would like to make everyone aware of an event that we are having on Nelson Mandela's birthday, July 18th. It will be at the Eaton Hotel in DC. The Eaton Hotel is considered the first criminal justice hotel. The event is called, there goes my sister Ebony. The event is called States of Solitary. It's on Mandela's birthday. Our partners are Human Rights Watch and Zealous. The concept is artivism, which is art plus activism. So the purpose is to highlight the ongoing inhumanitarian crisis of solitary confinement, envisioning a future without solitary confinement, and to support the 23 campaigns of Unlock the Box. As you all know already, I represent two states out of the 23. I am the only Unlock the Box partner that has more than one state, and this is actually my third state. I started in New York. So
What is Unlock the Box?
Unlock the Box is a national campaign to end long term solitary confinement in this country. We are in 23 states, shutting it down,
So,
limiting its
so
use.
I, I need you to take a moment and help us to understand how a person ends up in solitary confinement. You have told me you could look at a guard wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
This punishment.
the reality of the situation of this country, its practices and policies are all um, criminal. The policies and the practices of our legislation, of our government, of our president are all criminal against low income black and brown communities. In the Constitution, the 13th Amendment tells you that slavery did not end, period. You have to be paid for your wages unless you are convicted of a crime, right? Now, who has the highest incarceration rate in the country? Black
Black
men.
people.
Who has the highest incarceration rate in the state of Baltimore? Baltimore has the highest incarceration rate of black men and boys in the world. So, but that's something that we've talked about over and over again, right? So it doesn't even matter what a person needs to do to get into solitary confinement. The United Nations, under the Nelson Mandela rule, deemed anything more than 15 days in solitary confinement is torture. It is a scientific fact that the brain starts to wander. You get mental and medical illnesses result from long term confinement. Our country is always creating these rules, policies, and laws around public safety. Well, if
And,
you're in the
and they're the
at,
biggest violators.
right, at, solitary confinement does absolutely nothing for public safety. It makes people unable to make conscious decisions, healthy decisions, unable to fend for themselves. But that's a whole nother topic. Let me get through this event.
I just want you to tell me what is solitary confinement.
Solitary confinement is being confined to the cell size of a parking space for 23 hours or more with yourself or one other person. Every state that I have worked in has said they don't practice solitary confinement. Hi, Gwen. They call it restorative housing, restrictive housing, shoe, uh, step up program, step down program. However, the policy is the same. People are locked in cells. Can you imagine being locked in a cell right now with this heat? Your cell is probably 110 degrees if it's 100 degrees outside with no human interaction for months and years and weeks. It is literally torture. The United States treats its prisoners worse than third world countries treat prisoners of war. The only thing they're not doing is clipping your fingernails off. So that is what solitary confinement is. Solitary confinement is being isolated in a cell for 23 hours or more a day.
Why does a person get solitary again?
Multiple reasons. You can get solitary confinement. I went to solitary confinement because my husband was an alleged gang member. He wasn't even in prison with me. I did 4 years in solitary because of it. So there's multiple reasons.
You
Fight,
did 4 years in solitary?
yes, yes.
This is the system's way of trying to break a person.
This is the system's way of control. So listen, the bottom line is the Department of Corrections is run by correction officers. Correction officers are security guards. Sometimes that don't want to do their job. They come to work with all of these issues. Our whole system is a sham. There is no rehabilitative services in prison that actually work because the focus is not to get you better. The focus is to raise the recidivism rate. Prison is a monetary, yeah. Prisons is a business. The prison system is a business. You know how much it costs to have one person in prison a year? Almost $300,000 a year for
More
one.
money than it takes to send them to college.
There's more prisons in the world in the country than there is colleges.
And prisons
And
are big business. Big
yes,
business.
very big. Let's call it the prison industrial complex, right? So
And
let's
we
get
and we star in that movie. Black people.
right.
Black men, 38.8% of the population, and black women are the fastest growing demographic.
Absolutely. And then it's because we're not educating each other and telling each other, teaching each other how to stay out of prisons, how to change the policy around who can go to prison, how to change the policy of the prison. That's what the problem is. Everybody's calling each other and complaining. Nobody's doing the work. Nobody's doing the work. You know how many people I talk to on a daily basis? I get up to 200 emails a day. Women emailing me about their husbands, yet they ain't never been to a legislative meeting. Well, I'm going to tell you something. My husband is in jail right now, and guess what? I'm on it. I'll be damned if I allow the Federal Department of Corrections to drag him again. And it doesn't even matter that we're divorced. We're not even together anymore. But when they got him, I went and made sure he all right. So this is I'm going to get into that, but let me finish giving you this event, Donnie. You always do this. So in regards,
So you ain't gonna be yelling at me on my show. I'm not scared of you, Brooklyn. You go get your sister or whoever. All right, it's Baltimore.
listen,
I just wanted to give a backdrop so people can understand the severity of what we're talking about.
right. We talking to Baltimore. They know the severity. The audience will be justice impacted individuals, survivors of solitary confinement, professional service providers in mental wellness, public health, and criminal justice, funders and advocates dedicated to the increased public safety and ending state violence, and anyone else that is interested in learning about the effects of solitary confinement. So you see, if you come to this event, you will learn all you need to know about making a difference. Thank you. You will learn about solitary confinement, what the other states have done in order to eliminate solitary confinement, how you can help, how you can support your loved one that is incarcerated. Let me tell you something, and this is serious. I want everybody that is watching this show to understand something. Solitary confinement does not only affect people in prison, those people come home. Those people come home. And after being tortured in prison for years and years and years, you have absolutely no idea what that can do to a man or a woman. And you expect this person to come home and live on day to day life terms when they have been locked up and locked in for hours and hours and days at a time in dark, violent, depressive environments. It's impossible. It's impossible. So the states of solitary event again is on Nelson Mandela's birthday at the Eaton Hotel, and you can register at statesofsolitary.com. I'm gonna put that in the chat.
Yeah,
Make sure
whatever
you
you want me to put up on the screen, just put it in there. I'll get it up.
statesofsolitary.com. Now that we got there, this is the second issue. Okay, as he has told you already, and as everybody knows, because I normally host my own show called Talk Time. In regards to the work that I do, I am the director of community engagement for Interfaith Action for Human Rights. We have bills to limit solitary confinement in both states, Maryland and Virginia, and we are also in support of the federal bill in DC, right? Um, However, the work that I do is a direct result of my ex-husband's time in the federal detention. In the 18 years that he was in prison, 12 of those he was in solitary. So when I was released from prison myself, um, I got a wind on this movement, and I said, "Oh shoot," because you know, witnessed firsthand the disconnect, how it started to emotionally disconnect us as a couple, right? Um, so now, past 10, 6 years later, I done relocated, he done remarried, and he gets, caught up. Um, so I reach out because I already know what the system did to him the first time. And I reach out to see if there's anything I can do to help, right? In the process of him being incarcerated, my mother-in-law gets sick. Um, the weekend of Memorial Day, she went to the hospital because her stomach was hurting. Within a week, we found out she had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and on Juneteenth, she died. The Bureau of Prisons, the Federal Detention Center, the judge for the federal prison, denied him a bond to come to his mother's funeral, her deathbed, nothing. They wouldn't let him do anything. Um, and that is like the most inhumane, insane thing I've ever heard in my life. Like I was so confused. Here is a man that isn't even facing half the time that he already did. Like the amount of time he's facing is not worth running from. You know what I'm saying, Donnie? Um, and the reason I want to talk about it on the show today is because my hands are kind of tied because I can't attack them right now, at least not while they got him. Now, the funny thing is, my director, when I called him and told him it was happening, he was like, "They must not know who his wife is." um, but I really want to bring awareness to how the system treats our men, our fathers, our husbands, our sons, like, and what you could possibly do about it. So, as I told you before, there is a federal bill called the End of Isolation Act. Um, Congressional Senator Cory Bush is our lead sponsor. I need, for those of you that are watching this show and those of you that support the criminal justice movement, to make sure you stay aware of what is going on and what progress we are making. Because at the end of the day, by the grace of God, there go you. Do you know how many people I know are in prison and have done nothing wrong? You know how many innocent people serve 30 and 40 years in prison? And then you see them on the news at the Innocent Project? What makes you think that won't one day be your loved one? I noticed that people have a tendency to stick together and round up in clusters and jump on bandwagons when it's something negative, right? But when it comes down to this type of work, where we hold our government, oh God, I'm losing my train of thought. accountable when it's time to hold our government that we vote for, that work for us, accountable for how they treat our society, our people. Nobody wants to do anything about it. Just want to complain. Yeah, it's insane, and it's very hard to deal with because with all of the public speaking that I've done and all of the places that I've been, Donnie, I don't understand how people don't get it. I don't know why people think that it can't be them and why it is so hard to get the support needed for the person that you have that's incarcerated. Because little do you know, when they get out, they're gonna need everything in the world. Thank you. Yeah, register for the States of Solitary event. It is in person, of course. It is an all day thing. There is going to be poetry. There is going to be filming.
Where
Um,
is it? DC, New York,
it's
Baltimore?
DC. It's at the Eaton Hotel, the Eaton DC Hotel. When you
Let's
go
take
on,
a moment. I want to take a moment and acknowledge, Gwen just chimed in. Let's acknowledge some of your colleagues and allies, and please don't not start with Mr. Victor Pate.
I want to take a moment to recognize my whole Unlock the Box team from New Mexico to New York. Um, my sister Ebony, Gwen, who has guided me through Maryland, like I was one of her younger sisters. Victor Pate, of course, for bringing this psycho Donnie into my life.
Excuse me?
I'm over it. But in all actuality, I wanna take a shout out. I want to take a time to give a shout out to BlackUSA.News. Since the first time I was on this show, it's insane. Not only do I have a slot time that I'm barely using, but you always support me, Donnie, and I really appreciate you.
Your family. Your
I want to
family.
know. I want to know. So now this is another thing. So remember last year we introduced the solitary confinement bill, and somebody's calling me. Why? I can't. The solitary confinement bill it was called the Nelson Mandela Act in Annapolis, and it was killed on the first reading. The legislators act like they never heard of isolation. What you want?
In Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland.
The Maryland General Assembly, which meets in Annapolis
Yes. It,
mid
last
January
year,
to mid April.
yes, last year our bill was called the Maryland Mandela Act, and it
So
was
let me
killed.
just get this straight, not to cut you off. You from New York, you come to Maryland, you're advocating in the state capital, which the equivalent in New York is Albany. You down here advocating in the Maryland capital on behalf of Marylanders in a most incarcerating state and on behalf
Maryland and Virginia and Virginia.
of Maryland and Baltimore. And you saying that you are often out there by yourself? Like where's Baltimore? Where's Baltimore County? Where's PG County? You down here advocating for us here, and we leaving you hanging.
That's because they lack the education of what you can do about it. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I ended up with the Maryland campaign last year. However, it was the end of the year, so I didn't get to start really working until the beginning of the following year. This form of legislation that limits the use of solitary confinement to 15 days within a 60-day time span it took us 9 years to get passed in New York. So, this is year two in Maryland. And it's to be expected. Yeah, it's hard. I'm a one-man band. I have a coalition of people that are already active in this advocacy world, but they are legislative advocates. So there's a difference. As the director of community engagement, my job is to build the coalition on both fronts. So that's directly impacted people and professional, undirected people. like lawyers, doctors. So I do a lot of presentations at the Baltimore School of Law, universities all over the place in D.C., in Virginia, churches, places of worship. I do a lot of press conferences in front of the Congressional Building downtown in DC. But the biggest part of this movement that actually makes it work is the formerly incarcerated survivors telling their own stories. That takes time to build because you have to teach them organizing, you have to teach them legislative advocacy. So in Virginia, my bill got all the way to the governor's desk. He vetoed it. However, last year, this session that just passed had the most directly impacted people lobbying ever. So for the last 2 years, I've been legislatively training people on how to lobby. They didn't even know they can go in the legislative building. You can go in the legislative building as long as it's open and talk to whoever you want. You're a citizen of this state, So I'm not gonna blame. I'm not gonna place blame on why I'm outside by myself. Um, but I am, and guess what? I don't care.
Maybe you got to do a TikTok dance since we like to dance so much.
That ain't happening. Yeah,
Maybe you got to do a fashion show. I don't know, but I know returning citizens is important to me
yeah,
because it's our brothers, our
yeah.
fathers, our sisters, our mothers, our daughters, our sons. It's our people.
Right.
And quite often, it's unjust. Just like this marijuana. I never even asked you what you think about them legalizing weed and then Governor Moore. I haven't had you on the show since he offered to pardon 175,000 people with weed or 175,000 weed charges.
Good. He should. He should. That's exactly what should happen. If weed is legalized and people that are incarcerated for any crimes that have to do with weed, whether it's selling it, growing it, smoking it, they should be like, oh. Let me ask you something. What does prison do for a person that's incarcerated for selling weed? What does it do for them?
Make him a better lawbreaker and make him say, hell, if I'm going to be locked up, I might as well sell some cocaine and make some real money.
Right. Exactly. It does absolutely nothing. Incarceration at the way it is right now,
and in Baltimore, the dispensaries are owned by white guys, which baffles me. Ain't one black dispensary in Baltimore City.
That's because all the people that have the withal to fund.
I got a problem with that. I got a serious problem with that.
I'm gonna tell you what happened because the same thing happened in New York. When they overturned all of the
stopping black people from getting in the game. Why are you so damn selfish and stingy? Why?
Listen, Donnie, black people are stopping themselves. Hold on, I have to take this because she's gonna keep going. Tanya, I'm on a news channel right now. Can I call you back?
Okay, all right, no problem. Sorry.
Yeah, you keep calling. Okay. So when Governor Westmore overturns all those people that are incarcerated due to selling marijuana, those people should be the first people that are eligible to get their own.
And then on top of it, Orange Man, he do stuff in New York. Orange Man, he can do whatever he want. He can do whatever he want and not even fear going to jail. He said he can stand in the middle of New York City, 125th Street, 8th Avenue, shoot somebody and not even go to jail.
So I'm gonna tell you something. If Donald Trump is able to run for president and this goes, hey Jennifer, you're right. I'm gonna get it done. Jennifer is one of the young ladies who I advocate with. As a matter of fact,
Jennifer.
First time she lobbied, she was with me. I pushed her in one of the senator's offices and closed the door and left her. Thank you, Gwen. I know you will. What I was gonna say. Oh, with the Trump situation, let me tell you something. If Trump is allowed to run for president after being convicted of all of them felonies, there's going to be a national campaign that erases that felony disfranchisement in its entirety. I better not be asked if I have a felony, whether I'm filling out an application for a job, an apartment, a car, none of that. If you're going to allow somebody who is still committing crimes, and I'm all for fresh starts. But this orange man is still committing crimes. Still, to this very day. I don't even want to get on him because, I'm trying to get these Republicans to sign my bill. So I cannot attack President Trump on national TV. Don't even do it. Don't set me up for that.
We will be there this year, 2025. It took Natasha to rally us, Maryland. She is building that coalition. The work is hard, but she's a warrior queen. Her call is out. Let's get behind this movement.
Yes, Miss
A
Lee.
lot of accolades coming from Miss Gwen. She don't give a whole lot of props.
Oh, Miss Gwen has definitely been in my corner. I appreciate her guidance, and I met her in Atlanta, and I was with Victor.
She got violated for not knowing how to use her smartphone to be able to check in.
That's crazy. I
How does this wear on the mental? This is a mental health show. They say if I think better, I do better. How does this all fit into mental health?
So I'm gonna tell you something. Being successful in life and struggle is a big part of mental health, right? We all need to feel like, as human beings, we all need to feel like we are living life to the best of our capabilities and advancing at a natural rate, right? So prison does exactly the opposite of that. Not only does it stagnate the natural maturity of life because you do the same thing every day at the same time, it also, when you get out, life has gone so far past you that it's damn near impossible to
Yeah.
catch up. And then you find yourself making decisions that you think are beneficial momentarily, and then the price to pay for those push you back even further. So when it comes, the bottom line is this is a mental health show. Let's be real. Most crimes are created to fulfill a need, right? Or they've already criminalized mental illness. And then you have your violent people, or back in the days, your serial killers. All of them had some severe mental problems, right? So as long as mental health is criminalized, people will continue to go to jail. They've closed the mental institutions. The people that are in prison with mental issues get housed with the people that don't have mental issues. And then we have, you know, the big dog, solitary. Which, if you don't have mental issues when you go in, when you come out, you sure will. Um, our country needs a redo. We need a reset. We need our policies changed. We need our systems revamped. Because right now, they're doing exactly what they were created to do, and that is separate, destroy, and destruct the black community. Period.
Why do you care?
Why shouldn't I? Nobody has more disenfranchised than a black woman. I have been to prison. I have been on drugs. I am black and I'm a woman. I got more strikes against me than Kunta Kinte had. Why shouldn't I?
Why do you
Somebody,
keep going?
because listen, I've always been known for my fight in life. Like all my life, I fought physically in the streets. I just it's a transferable skill. You know what I mean? And it's really personal to me, and not even due to my own experiences in life. Like at the end of the day, somebody I love deeply, like, and still love, and will always love, was tortured by society's prison system. I
What
ain't
do you
playing with them.
what role does the African American correctional officer play in this?
It depends.
Good
I have,
answer.
I have
Good
it,
answer.
it depends. So I have, so I'm gonna tell you something. You have correction officers that get into corrections just as a career, right? And they're depending on what level of corrections they're in, whether it's local, state, or federal, they may be decent people. And then you have correctional officers that believe in the Department of Corrections and have a prejudice against crime, but their whole family is criminals. You know how many of my family members have been correctional officers? There's more criminals in my family than than not, right? On my father's side of the family, almost everybody been in jail. However, I have the most correctional officers related to me on that side of the family. Correction officers play the part they want to play. But prison is designed to hurt and harm and disrupt the natural thought of anybody in it. So not only does it tear us up that are incarcerated, they have to serve 25 years too. So meanwhile, I may become a correction officer with all the goal in the world to help society, to bring positive change. And by the time I've been there 10 years, I'm an asshole, just like the redneck down the street. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Energy is contagious. So when we talk about public safety, right? Public is exactly that, public. Prison is a world of its own. You know what I mean? So everybody in that environment is affected by the aura that's part of the public safety. It's not safe. If it's not safe for me, it's not safe for you.
What do you say to people who say, well, you don't want to do the time, don't do the crime?
I say doing time has nothing to do with being tortured. Nothing. When I went to jail, I copped out. I didn't go to trial. I didn't say I didn't do it. I took my time and I went to do my bid. But if you've seen the things that I've seen, women killing themselves, women being killed because they've gotten pregnant by an officer and the officer don't want to go to jail, um, women being drove so insane from being locked in solitary for so long that they're smearing feces on the wall, the banging, the kicking, the screaming, people gnawing away at their own fingers just to get a trip to the clinic so they can see somebody other than the four walls of their cell, then you would think differently of that. When a judge sentences you to time, he sentences you to time. He doesn't sentence you to torture. That's what I would say.
You've been to Rikers Island?
26 times. 26 times.
Tell me about Rikers Island.
I call it Raggedy Allen. So my first campaign was the Close Rikers movement. We got the bill passed to close Rikers Island by 2027. I think it was 2020 or maybe 2019. First we worked on getting the adolescents off of Rikers Island. So now nobody under the age of 21 goes to Rikers Island. However, Rikers is a cesspool. It is the biggest jail in the country. It has the highest population in the country. Um, and it's horrible. It's dirty, it's nasty, it smells like feces. You can smell the sickness. Um, yeah, Raggedy Allen. Rikers Island is also very, very, very dangerous because you have to remember something. People are greedy, whether they have on blue or green, whether you're an officer or an incarcerated individual. There's so many overdoses, stabbings, slashings. Where do you think the people that are in prison get their shit from? The officers. So now you not only got the officers trying to kill you, you're trying to kill each other. It is a cesspool.
But What about the food?
Ugh, my dog would need that. Listen, the whole prison system. You notice when somebody is arrested, they automatically erase their name, right? When the cops put when the cops put cuffs on you, you become a perp, right? When you go in front of the judge, you become defendant. When you get to the jail, you become an inmate. When you get out of jail, you become a parolee. Never will you be Donnie again compared to in the eyes of the law, right? So what makes you think they're gonna feed you any better than they treat you? They won't even say your name. When they call you over the loudspeaker for anything, whether it be a movement, whether it be a visit, they call you by your number. They don't call you and say Natasha White report to the visiting room. They say 03G 1192 report to the visiting room. The food is disgusting. It's quick chill. It comes in big bags. They dump it out in the pot, heat it up, serve it. Macaroni and cheese is actually a meal. It's orange, fluorescent orange. That is a whole meal. They give you a big portion of that, some string beans on the side, and 2 slices of bread. That's a meal. Anything else you want to know?
What about commissary?
Uh, Commissary is overpriced. Phone calls are overpriced. What you would pay 25 cents for a oodle or noodle. Remember they used to cost 25 cents, the oodles and noodles in the store? They're $1.25 at commissary. A pack of wraps. You know the tortilla wraps that are like $1.79 in the supermarket for 6? They're $3.49 for a pack of wraps. A can of tuna fish, $1.10. Like I said, prison is an industrial complex. It's all about money. The people that own, private prisons are a really big thing, right? Guess who are the majority owner of private prison?
Republicans.
Rappers.
Rappers.
Right. Ask Jay-Z how many private prisons he has a stake in. You want to go there? Let's go there. Let's go. Let's go, Donnie. Let's go. Yes. The commissary is owned by Keefe. Who's Keefe? Who owns Keefe? Let's look it up. Hey Siri, who owns Keefe Commissary? Okay, that ain't giving it to me like that. She spelled it wrong. We're gonna look it up. See who owns Keefe.
How you spell it?
Keefe. Keefe, I think. Keefe. Keefe Commissary. Who owns it? Keefe Supply Company. Guess where it is located? Eldridge, Maryland.
Elkridge.
Yeah, let's see who the owner is. Oh man. This probably has commissary network, except for SurePack, Access Corrections, IC Solutions, Advantage Technologies Group is the leading supplier of food product, personal care products. So a couple of people own this. A couple of companies own this, but I can guarantee you, SecurePack and ICS Solutions, Advanced Technologies Group. This is owned by our own people. This is owned by our own people. Our own people exploit our own people. Donnie, who do you have in the Senate in your pocket?
You mean in my phone?
Yeah.
Whomever you want, starting from the top.
I need somebody to carry my bill next year. Mary Washington carried our bill, and we want someone else to do it.
Would you say she carried it and what?
We don't want her again. Try not to say that on TV.
So I would go to Senator Corey McCray because he's actually spent time in prison.
Senator Corey McCray. You're gonna send
Yeah,
his
over in the 45th district.
Senator McCray. I wish my intern was on here. Let me put that in here. Hold on.
Corey McCray, CORYMCCRAY.
Hold on. Corey McCray. C-O what? Corey, C-R-R-Y, M-C.
CORY McCray,
Yeah,
MCCRAY. Corey McCray.
he might be related to me. Senator.
So this guy says if you think prisons are bad in New York, you should see the prisons in Florida. Now
Oh no,
Mike,
I can tell you something, Michael. Prisons in New York are the best prisons in the country. But so if they're and that's why, even though I moved out of New York State, my fight is still the same. My fight doesn't have anything to do with the prison itself. It has to do with my people. And no matter what state you're in, my brother did 26 years in Maryland Correctional Facility. You know what I mean? I moved to Virginia. I had absolutely no idea that I was going to be doing this work still. But once our bill in New York got passed, our state court bill, um, I realized that finally this big mouth was good for something. I've always had a problem with my mouth. My ex-husband, he can't stand my mouth. He tells me all the time. For 20 years, I've had a problem with your mouth, and you're still talking shit.
I bet he likes it now.
Yeah, when it's not directed at him. But I actually found my niche, and this is what I mean when you're talking about returning citizens. We all have skills that will make us successful in the regular world. To us, this is what you call the regular world. The term returning citizen in itself is derogatory. Because where the hell did I go? I didn't go anywhere. I went to jail. I didn't go to Paris.
What should the term be? Formerly incarcerated?
Yeah. The term should basically be whatever you want it to be. Sometimes I allow people to announce that I'm formally incarcerated, but most times I won't. I'll tell you that later on. You know what I mean? However, returning citizen to me sounds like somebody that moved to another country and then came back. We didn't go anywhere. We went to jail, prison, right?
Now, a lot of people throw bricks at the penitentiary. You look at some corners in Baltimore, a cat is standing there all day, all night, won't work in a pie factory, and got the audacity to make noise touting rock, dopes, and cokes.
Man, like I said, crime
Ain't
is
nobody
one.
holding no gun on them saying, you're
Right,
going to stand on this corner and you're going to sell dope in your community to your people. Nobody else no gun on them.
right. You have to listen. When it comes to that, like I said, most crime is done to fulfill a need, right? So if you look at the drug dealers in your community, how long have they been selling drugs? Probably since they were kids, right?
Well, like
I
I
just
tell
answered
you,
the question. I'm trying to get somewhere.
it's a loaded question because if you standing on the same corner for years, then you are a confidential informant. You are dry snitching on other people.
All right, I don't want to deal with maybe
I'm
or
just
the
saying,
maybe.
they done
I
been
know
caught.
the fact. The fact is,
They triple
especially,
agents. We know about them.
yeah. Well, we're talking about the core
And you
problem.
talking about dirty cops.
Listen, but you have to address the core problem. The core problem is we've been disenfranchised so long that the only way for us to get ahead for some people is to sell drugs or commit crime. And then that becomes the only thing you know how to do. Put jail into the equation, and now you've come home and you're disenfranchised even further because they got a block on what kind of employment you can have. The only person that gets out of prison and gets rich is somebody that gets out and gets their own business. Otherwise, you go back to what you know. So it's the opportunities that are missing. However, the skills to acquire the opportunities and the therapy that it takes to get out of the trauma that you've gone through all your life as a little black boy in Baltimore and then in prison do not exist. Because when you go to prison, they do not address the underlying issue. Do you think if everybody that went to prison went through a severe training of education, therapy, and just learning what it is they might be passionate about and how to utilize that in the free world? Do you think if they offered those type of things in prison, people would come right back out and commit crime? No.
You, you said that people come directly from solitary to the streets. You said that
Right.
to me
Yes.
in a previous interview.
Yes.
What does that look like? Somebody's been incarcerated 23 out of 24 hours, and then all of a sudden they say, "Okay, you can go home now." What happens to that person, and what happens to the people around them, like their family or wherever they stay?
um um a lot of people won't admit that how solitary has screwed them up. But I'm gonna tell you the biggest thing solitary takes from a person: patience. Patience, right? So, you get out of prison, you've been locked in a cell by yourself for years, and you get out of prison into a world that is functioning 500 times faster than it was when you got in there. You don't want to ask questions. Nobody's there to help you. You got no money. Like, you set them up straight failure. And the biggest reality is violence. When you no longer solitary teaches you how to be alone. Like, even me, I get real frazzled. The longer I'm around a bunch of people, the more frazzled I am. So even when I go to my sister's house, I can be there one day, all day, and we'll plan to see each other again tomorrow, and I won't come because I've been in your house with your family all day long. I need to be able to isolate. It does nothing. It doesn't do any good for them. Do you know in the state of Maryland they can't release people straight from solitary? You know why? Because my organization fought for them not to be able to.
What do they get now?
They have to be released from solitary at least 60 days before they are released
Why?
to get reentry,
To get reacclimated
to get reentry services.
or to get reentry services?
Now
So
that's not perfect, but it's better than nothing.
let's talk about that. What does, because I do a show, as you know, on Wednesday nights up at WEAA, and every show I acknowledge the people who are behind the walls. What do I encourage people behind the walls to do before coming home?
Reentry should start when you're arrested. So if you're not getting reentry services from the prison, you need to start working on reentry yourself. Doing the research. If you get visits or you communicate with people on the outside, make sure that they create opportunity and find opportunities for people like you, like yourself. Find the companies that hire felons. Find the programs that assist felons. Create programs of your own. Get an LLC before you get out. Start building up on your nonprofit before you get out. Start this process as soon as you get in, so that when you come home to a plan that has already started and has an execution date. The biggest way we fail when we get out of prison is we're in prison and we think we're gonna do all of this stuff when we get out of jail, right? And then we get out of jail and life is lifing.
Life is life, and
Right. Life starts lifing. Now you didn't incorporate any of the day-to-day nonsense that happens to us as individuals when life starts lifing. So now you're thrown off your square. And you plan to do all of these things, and now you're frustrated. And your family don't understand because they're too busy telling you what to do instead of asking you what you need. Like, I think that the only reason that I made it this time around um is because when I got out, the people that helped me asked me what I needed. They
what
didn't
did you tell them?
I told them I need training. I need office work training. I need etiquette training. I had lost my vocabulary. I was talking like I was in the yard. That's what I told them. I said I need training and I need a stable living environment.
What were you saying initially?
I ain't gonna. No, it's not what I was saying. It was the way I communicated. The way I communicated was um, too rough for office life, even though I had office skills. So when I came home, my first job was as a job developer. Um, and the only reason I was successful at it is because I spent more time soliciting companies to hire people with felonies than I did actually dealing with people. Writing resumes for people coming out of prison, um, things like that.
But how would you respond? So say you working for me, you just this your first day. Good morning, Natasha. How are you today?
Oh, don't be stupid. Good morning. I'm fine. Like not like that. I don't mean my vocabulary left like that. I meant that I was the 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 professionalism that was required to do office work. I felt I lacked the most because I really didn't have the computer skills necessary. I see that's my aunt Adrian. Um, so when I came home, I came home to a reentry program called Fortune Society, and I immediately joined their employment program, which was a 2 week program. Um, I had received all of my OSHAs and all type of stuff, but I knew I didn't want to do that type of work. So when I graduated and they asked me what I wanted to do, I said I wanted to do the class again. Um, and I was just honest. You have to be honest with your capabilities. In life, we're our own worst critics. But if you don't know what you want to do, you're not going to know what you need. So I knew I needed to be able to separate the street side of me and be able to sit in a boardroom. So now I go home, I go to my hood, I go to my block, we have cookouts. I'm still blondie. And when I go to the legislative building, I wear my suit and I talk my shit. And I get it done.
What you wear? Typical outfit.
Louis Gucci Prada.
I'm proud of you, sis.
Thank you. Typical outfit, a suit and some ones. When I come to parties, I always have on Air Force Ones, Jordan ones, and a suit. That's it. And my dog. I'm proud of me too. I just really like, all jokes aside, let's stop laughing. I need you to promote this event on Nelson Mandela's birthday. You got the link already. I'm gonna forward you the active link.
Stateofsolitary.com.
Statesofsolitary.com.
States
July 18th. Register. If you're near DC, come out. Come out. Come out. Come out and rub some elbows with people like yourself. Come out and get involved in the movement. Let me tell you something. The greatest reward for the work that I do is this is how I get my shit off. The oppressed and abusing your own self is the worst thing you could possibly do after incarceration. Make yourself useful. Create some change. I'll teach you how to write some laws. Let's do this.
So say that again. The worst thing you can do after coming
home from prison is to oppress yourself.
How? You mean like getting drunk?
No, I mean oppress yourself. Put yourself in a box where you don't branch out into places you thought you could never go. I never thought that I would be in a meeting with Congress. I'm in meetings with Congress. When I talk, they listen to me. Never thought that.
Well, you are a bully.
I tries not to.
Okay, let her in.
No,
what you tell him, Natasha? What you tell a congressman?
The truth.
And congresswomen?
The truth.
You've been to Capitol Hill. You've been over in D.C. to Capitol Hill.
Yes, absolutely. I tell them that the way they run this country is a crime in itself. So how are you to judge people that have committed crimes? when
And,
you're crimes.
and Orange Man guilty on 34 counts. He could be president.
Yeah. Well, either if whether he is elected for president or not, we got a whole war coming on us. Which side you gonna be on?
Project
Because
2025.
right, Project 2025 is severe. It's severe. I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'm gonna be on the right side. I'm gonna be on the right side.
What do you think of Harriet Tubman? You know she from Maryland, but she did a lot of work in
Yeah.
New York. Yeah.
What do you mean? What do I think of her?
Do you liken the work you do unto Harriet Tubman in a sense? She went and freed people who couldn't free themselves. She jeopardized her freedom to go back and get somebody else.
Yeah, yeah, and I know where you're going with this because you always call me Moses, and I
I mean,
I
easily you can stay home and wear your Nikes and your Gucci and not think about nobody else. But every time I talk to you,
yeah, I'm
something
not home.
comes up about your work.
I think people like Harriet Tubman paved the way for us. And if she could free slaves, I could have never been a slave. They'd have killed me. Um, if
You'd
she
have killed them.
did,
See, I
they'd
don't keep buying that story. They would have killed me. I would have killed them.
have stupid.
I would have poisoned the whole damn county.
I think we all have here a little bit of
See,
Harriet Tubman in us.
we weren't just taking this crap,
Yeah,
and we give them too much credit.
yeah. I told you
Way too much credit.
it's
Have you seen some of the dumb stuff they do?
it's self oppression. When I tell you that people oppress
I
themselves,
don't buy a lot of the stuff they tell us about back in the day because I look at them. I look in my alley. I got white addicts in my alley
yeah,
who want to call me the N word. I'm like, you the one eating off the ground.
it's generational ignorance.
I wanted to ask you about this.
You what?
How many generations have you seen in one family in a prison?
3.
I'm making my point to bring this up. Grandfather, father, and grandson. Grandmother, mother, and granddaughter in the same
I've
prison.
seen grandmother, mother, and daughter, and they're all co-defendants.
We got to do better than this. Gwen posed the question, and I don't know where she's trying to go. She said,
How they end up on the corner?
how did they end up on the corner?
The same thing I addressed. I'm telling you how they ended up on the corner.
Economics.
They're having to find out how to feed themselves. Most crimes are committed to fulfill a need. If your mother and your father is on drugs, and you and your siblings have no food, and you're a 12-year-old boy, what are you going to do? You gonna sell newspapers or crack? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if it was me, I'd be selling crack. That's how they end up outside. When you take the father out of the home and put him in prison, the mother normally ends up either struggling on by herself and can't feed her kids, or on drugs because she can't feed her kids. So what do the kids do? That's how most young boys end up on the corner. But it starts with the incarceration of the parent.
Let's take a minute and do your final spiel so we can get on up out of here. It's good to hear your voice. I ain't got nothing but love for you. I don't care where you at. What, you were in New York when I went up there, weren't you?
No. Wait a minute. Yeah, I was. But I was dealing with my my mother-in-law. When you went to the oh God. I seen you in a picture there too. What was it?
NAN.
Oh, NAN. Yeah, the NAN conference. Yeah. I was in New York.
Yusuf Salam and then the other New York State legislator. Both of them had been incarcerated. And it was very, I mean, to be on a panel with Mr. Salam, I met him here in Baltimore, but very genuine.
Yeah, Yusuf, I've known Yusuf since his case. We were in Spofford together. We were in, and that's a perfect example. At 13 years old, I was in Sparford with them, the Central Park Five. Four, because one of them went to Rikers. Corey. Yeah. I was on a panel with Yusuf's mother at Brooklyn Museum last year. Yusuf is awesome. Um, those boys went through hell and were innocent. But that's the power.
Thanks to people like Orange Man
Yeah, that's the power that the police have.
and the Karens in Central Park that want to get a black man
Listen,
locked up for
you
bird
want my
watching.
spill? You want my spill? It is your duty. It is our duty as black people. It is our duty to take care of our own. It is our duty to educate on the disenfranchisement and the torture of incarcerated individuals that have to come home to us. It is our duty to make the change that we want to see. It is our duty to be the change that we want to see. Stop talking. Show up and blow up.
Thank you for joining us. I love you. Got mad respect for you. Tell your posse, put them guns down. Hey, hey, hey. It's Donnie
Well,
Glover.
we carry pens now. We carry pens now.
I am proud of you.
Pepsi.
And anytime you need me, you know you can call.
I got you. You coming to the you registering the 18th?
I will do my best.
Tanya too, okay?
And a shout out to who's this right here? This your cousin?
That's my sister.
What's her name?
Ebony. That's my sister.
I thought you said Ebony because it says Harmony's lyrics.
Yeah, well, it's Facebook.
Can she sing?
No.
Well, she's
All right, I gotta go. I got another meeting. Donnie, goodbye. I love you.
Love you. Up to date, down tomorrow. Do your day and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it, regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother's keeper and sister's keeper. Good afternoon, world. And thank you, Natasha. I'm proud of you.